and His favor. So the first lesson is, let's align ourselves with what God says is important. It's wonderful to have a comfortable job. It's wonderful not to be in debt. It's wonderful to have good health, if you use those things for what is really important in life. Otherwise, they are not of any benefit to us. So the sign of God's favor is fiqh. Then, what is fiqh? Commonly, we use fiqh for Islamic law. But in the teachings of our Prophet and in the ahadith of Imams, fiqh doesn't mean the superficial knowledge of Islam. And a faqih in the eyes of Allah and in the eyes of the Prophet and in the eyes of Ahlul Bayt is not somebody who can debate with you on theology and who can explain to you one opinion or one fatwa versus another. That is not a sign of a deep understanding of religion. That is a superficial knowledge of religion. It is a good thing if it goes beneath the surface and enters into the heart, if it enters into the soul. That is not depth. Fiqh means a deep understanding of religion. And what does that mean? It means that we should be able to understand what are the priorities and what are the values that are essential to our faith. There are many people who know a lot of details about Islam, and they practice Islam very carefully. If you look at their prayer, they might come and they might criticize you that your feet are not the proper distance apart, and you don't place your hands in the proper place, and you don't pronounce the letter Dhad properly. And so, they might be very well studied in the laws and the outward practice of Islam. But then if that person does not make good decisions, if they're willing to get into a fight with a family member over something petty, if they're willing to abandon their community because of a personal frustration or because of personality differences, that person might know a lot, but they don't have depth, they don't have wisdom. They don't have an understanding of religion. An understanding of religion is what allows you to see what are the priorities. The knowledge that you have should serve those values. It should be building a legacy and an investment that increases your faith and that radiates the benefit of that faith to others. So don't think there is a conflict between knowledge and faith. Knowledge facilitates faith, but it is not the same thing. وَمَنْ يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةِ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. If you are given wisdom, that is a great deal of good. Wisdom is knowledge in practice. It is applied knowledge. It is the ability to know that this is the proper response to a situation or a circumstance that I have in my life. When I need to make a decision, I need my knowledge, I need my experience, I need the advice I can get from my elders and my scholars and my maybe trusted friends. I need tawfiq from Allah, but it is at the point of that decision that the wisdom and the fiqh will become visible. Don't confuse trivia and facts and data with deep understanding and wisdom or fiqh. And the final point is that this fiqh will come in deen. Now, some people, they think that there is a conflict between worldly knowledge and religious knowledge. Religious knowledge is study of the Quran, study of hadith, study of theology, study of the seerah of the Prophet. These things we say, these are religious knowledge. But then if I have a curiosity about nature, and I like to watch documentaries about, the different animals that Allah has created and how they live and what their habitats are. Or if I have an interest in astronomy, or if I have an interest in any of these observational sciences or rational disciplines or any other field of human study or inquiry, I think that that is secular. When in reality, the Quran does not ever put deen in contrast with dunya. For us to say, this is my religious knowledge and this is my secular knowledge. Deen, in fact, is رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Deen is that, oh Allah, give us a good life in this world and goodness in the hereafter, and protect us from the punishment of hellfire. What brings you benefit in this world is deen. So to know what can protect your body from sickness and how to cure sickness if you ever have a health concern, that medical science that you study, pharmaceutical studies, I'm not talking about for-profit industries, but those that are actually oriented towards the health and the wholesomeness of the body and the emotions and the human life. Those disciplines that, for example, can produce a more hygienic environment, those disciplines that can allow us to build buildings that are resistant to natural disasters or earthquakes or floods, this is part of آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً. This is something that deen has allowed. And according to the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, one of the uses of zakat is fi sabilillah, in the path of God. The majority of fuqaha, almost a consensus opinion among Ahl Sunnah, is that fi sabilillah means for jihad, for war. But the consensus among the scholars of Ahlul Bayt, in line with the teachings of the Imams, is that fi sabilillah is anything that is beneficial to human beings and to Muslim society. If there is a river that people have to, swim across, or they have to get a boat, rent a boat to cross that river, and it's dangerous or it's inconvenient, and you can build a bridge in order to facilitate faster and safer travel, then according to the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, that is one of the legitimate uses of zakat. Fi sabilillah, in the path of God. You say, what is this to do with fi sabilillah? It's not a masjid. Nobody's going to do Salatul Jama'ah on the bridge. Nobody's going to do Salatul Jumu'ah on the bridge. Nobody's going to have a halaqah and teach tafsir on the bridge. Fi sabilillah is anything that is of benefit to human beings in their worldly life and in their spiritual life. So to build a school, to build a bridge, to build a more safe road, to build a hospital, all of those public service uses, they are part of fi sabilillah. So deen in Islam is dunya and akhirah in the service of our salvation. So it's not just that studying science and being a good engineer and building a good bridge is deen. No, if you study that engineering in order to build a good bridge to serve Allah and to help humanity so that they can live a safer life, a better life, and to make your intention for the sake of Allah, then that is deen. Anything that you serve Allah with, that is deen. And so our worldly disciplines, if they are in service of our religious values, this is part of fiqh fi deen, a deep understanding of our religion. So it is my prayer for all of us present and all Muslims, may Allah grant us a deep understanding of our religion. So our knowledge is useful to us, not just to advance in our careers or become wealthy or famous, but in order to achieve salvation and in order to be of benefit to ourselves, our families, and others. إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِعَبْدٍ خَيْرًا فَقَّهَهُ فِي الدِّينِ. When Allah wishes good for a person, then Allah gives that person a deep understanding and knowledge of their religion. Let us conclude by remembering the deceased members of our families, our community, sponsors of today's program through the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام على علي أمير المؤمنين. السلام على فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام على الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. السلام على علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن القائم المهدي صلوات الله عليه.